And we're doing that. We're celebrating 20 years of ministry with Pastor Dan and Lori, and we're thankful that they've been here and have been through a lot, and been through good times and been through difficult times, and are still ministering to us today, and we're very thankful for that. In preparing for this morning and just this little presentation that we have, we asked for some of the people that have been influential in Pastor Dan's ministry to just maybe speak to that a little bit. And we have a letter here, or just a little paragraph from Larry Law, and Larry Law wanted to send and pass along his congratulations to you both. And he wrote, "We have the pleasure of recognizing Pastor Dan's great ministry, and I would like to personally thank him for working with many of the Cranberry staff, working with our local underprivileged people in partnership with other local churches, with the Christmas Gala evening and showing unity, for serving in Paraguay, for the civic leader prayer breakfast, and many other items that are too many to mention here. Thank you, Dan, for being a great witness for God. In him, Larry Law." Mayor Sandra Cooper also sent a letter of congratulations, which I'd like to just take a minute and share with you as well. "Congratulations, Pastor Dan, as your congregation celebrates your 20 years of ministry in the town of Collingwood with Journey Community Church. As the mayor of the town of Collingwood, I feel blessed in our community to have such an active ministry. This in turn spills over to volunteerism and dedication to others 365 days of the year. Please take a moment of contemplation for the reeling hardships of those around us and living in vulnerable circumstances. These are the people that Pastor Dan and the people of Journey Community Church serve. Whether hosting programs in other countries or partnering with the wonderful staff at Cranberry Resort, Pastor Dan has been a leader in our community. We know that looking back to his vision, perseverance, and ministry of others through the journey of Journey's Blend Cafe, that he is definitely serving God. Here's an appropriate quote which I found to remind me of the great work of Pastor Dan over his 20 years with us. A religious man is a person who holds God and man in one thought at one time, at all times, who suffers harms done to others, whose greatest passion is compassion, and whose greatest strength is love and defiance of despair. As you gather to celebrate Pastor Dan's service to others, let us not forget that God is also a part of our lives, and for that we are truly thankful. Sincere thanks to you, Pastor Dan, Mayor Sandra Cooper." We also received a video all the way from Paraguay that we would like to also share with you in way of congratulations.
Well, good morning to the Journey Church in Collingwood. As we think back over the last 20 years and thinking back to 1996 when Dan and Lori first came to our local community church, and to where we are today, I can't think of anything God could have done better than send us the leadership of Dan and Lori. So we want to congratulate you on 20 years of service to our community, to our local church, and for 20 years of awesome friendship that we have shared.
Thanks for putting up with us for 20 years.
You thought you were getting away easy, didn't you, this morning? You know that we can't just say nice things about you, Dan. We have to have some remembrances and add some other aspects into it. You know, it was 20 years ago, and I remember pretty well when I first had the opportunity of being able to meet Dan, and it was when I was the associate pastor at New Life, and this guy came in with several kids in tow to register them for our VBS program. And he came into the office and said, "I want to introduce myself to you. I'm Pastor Chatham, and I'm the new pastor at the Church of God." And I said, "Oh, it's nice to meet you. I'm Kevin. I'm the associate pastor here." And his response was, "Oh, I'd really like to meet the senior pastor." And I remember thinking, wow, what a jerk. You'll be glad to know that that opinion has changed over the last 20 years. And I thought about some of the things that we got into during that period of time. You know, it wasn't long after that we were part of a group hosting an MXPX concert in town. And Dan and I were on promotion, and he put the church phone number for Journey on the posters for it. And then I don't think he'd ever heard MXPX at that point in time. And I was like, I'm not being associated with that. And so I was all for it. And then he came to me and he said, do you know the kind of messages I'm getting on the voicemail? And it was a little bit of a different concert than he was expecting. Then, from that to some of the other adventures, I think probably being the youngest two pastors that have ever attended a Billy Graham School of Evangelism, some of the conferences that we went to I seem to remember building blocks for the Wall of Jericho out of boxes and spray foam, and then convincing Dan that in the old church building on George Street, it would be okay to use a potato gun to launch flour and cornflakes into the audience when the wall came down. It kind of amazes me that, that you've stuck with me over this number of years when I think about it. But one of the things that, struck me from the very beginning was, this guy came into the office and he had quite an accent with it. And over the last number of years, as we've been spending time together, and all of you that are part of Journey know this very well, that we've had to learn to talk a little bit differently, or at least understand a little bit differently with Dan as our lead pastor. So I want to give you a quick lesson in words that we've learned. I call it speaking Danish. Okay? So it's not Danish, it's Danish. And so we want to go through some words here. Okay, the first one, assimulate. It's not assimilate, it's assimulate. We feel like we're, the Borg here or something. Okay, go to the next one. Haiti. We did a mission trip to Haiti. It's not Haiti. It's got to be two long syllables, and it sounds like you really dislike the country. Hate-y. Okay, next one. Pacawn. We've learned that that's his favorite kind of pie, a pecan pie. Okay, next one. Dan loves to come over to your house for a meal. No idea what that was when he first talked about getting together for a meal. But we soon learned that it's a good time to be able to fellowship together. Okay, the next one. The Foyer. Okay, we like to gather together in the Foyer after our services. Okay, go ahead. Deraema. It's not drama, it's Deraema. You gotta kind of squish up your nose a little bit to say it that way, but it seems fairly natural when he does it. Go ahead. Saintin. I love this one because we didn't really know that he was, given that status by the Catholic Church. But it's Saintin. Okay, and finally the last one is Fateful. You had to know that one was coming. Okay, and this is the one that I tend to give Dan a hard time about periodically, because faithful and fateful are two very different words. The rest of them, except maybe Saintin and Satan, are kind of polar opposites too, but fateful is definitely a different word. And so when you talk about being faithful people, it kind of gives you a little bit of fear sometimes. But I do want to say that the reason I saved that one for last is because that's the word that I think best sums up Dan, not fateful, but faithful, throughout these last 20 years. It's been an amazing time that we've had together, being able to work together and be part of forming a group together that's going to really reach out into the community and be involved in bringing churches together, to be able to do that, and then serving together here at Journey and through the cafe, and so many different adventures. And I've constantly seen over and over again the faithfulness that Dan and Lori have towards God, and being able to really listen and respond accordingly. And I can't begin to mention the number of times where things have gotten interrupted, plans have gone completely awry because something's come up, and they just kind of roll with the punches, and it's just kind of what you do, and being able to work through that. So we do have a couple little things that we're going to give you. I'm not going to bring you up right now, but I'm going to show you on the screen what they are, and I'll hold them up. So we're giving Dan the Fatefulness Award. Okay, we couldn't resist spelling it the wrong way, but it is a bar of chocolate, so you'll enjoy it that way, to be able to do it. And then we were thinking about Lori and what would really be the appropriate award for Lori, and we thought, all the things that Lori kind of gets dragged to, kind of gets stuck into because it's part of being the pastor's wife, Or it's part of opening your home without actually telling your spouse that you're going to open your home for an event and have all these people over. And it's kind of means, oh, well, nobody's going to do that. Well, Lori will take care of that, and all these, and that happens time and time again with stuff. So we kind of thought we would go with the Perseverance Award for Lori. And we don't know if that's being with us, persevering with us, or persevering with Dan. I'm kind of going that route. We were going to go with long suffering, but it didn't fit on the chocolate. So we went with perseverance instead with that. Okay, I'm going to turn this over now to Laura.
Thanks. So I have a bit of a confession to make first. I gave Kevin some of those words. And I have been known to take notes during class of all the funny things you say. Sorry. Well, I've been told I have 2 minutes to talk about Pastor Dan and Lori. I think I might have squeezed it into 3. And I still haven't managed to scratch the surface, so, but I'll try my best. So if I could sum them up in one word, it really is faithful. So I agree with what Kevin was saying. Pastor Dan, Lori, you have stuck with us for 20 years, through thick and thin. Through weddings, funerals, births, tragedies, joys, challenges, and victories, you have refused to give up on us. When challenges and roadblocks came, you didn't bail out. Instead, you worked through them with us as true family would. I'd like to say a few words about Lori and then a few about Pastor Dan, and I'm really trying to hurry here. Lori is truly an amazing human being. Here's a woman who has put up with Pastor Dan for 30 plus years, raised 6 kids, 6 amazing kids who are all friends of mine, and on top of that has been faced with the added challenges that come with being a pastor's wife. She doesn't often step into the spotlight, so you may not know these things, but here's a strong, courageous, and resilient woman. I don't know if she sees herself this way, but this is how I see her. And I basically adopted myself into their family when I was 8, so I probably have a unique perspective. One thing I love the most about Lori is her passionate heart. She is compassionate towards others and zealous about God's kingdom. I imagine that over the years of dealing with people and the stress of raising kids and the pressure of everyone's expectations, it would be easy to become cynical and hard in your heart. But Lori has not done this. She has maintained a soft heart, easily moved by God and others. Her love for God and for people is genuine. I find this very inspiring and something that I would like to emulate in my own life. I'm surprisingly nervous, sorry. I also really enjoy having Lori on the worship team. She is committed to excellence, always prepared and practiced up. I'm humbled by her respectful attitude toward me, even though she has a lot of musical training and experience herself and has known me since I was a kid. She truly is an incredible woman and a blessing to everyone around her. Now, Pastor Dan. I really struggled with what to say in the next 40-ish seconds. Let me start by saying I honestly don't think I would be the person I am today without his influence. He has always been passionate about raising up the next generation of leaders and is concerned for the future church. He is passionate about children, youth, and young adults and has devoted countless hours to training and guiding young leaders such as myself. Although I guess I'm not really in that young leaders category anymore, which probably scares him as much as it does me. For me personally, Pastor Dan has been like a second dad, a mentor and encourager, a college professor, and now that I'm a bit older, I also feel that I can call him my friend. I hope that's okay. I know many of us feel the same way about him. He even, way back in the day, helped me and Andrew and some others learn how to sing, so I guess that was a pretty good investment for him. But seriously, I was an awkward, introverted, bookworm, self-conscious, naive little teenager who thought she needed to change into someone else to be used by God. Somehow, Pastor Dan, you saw potential in me and helped me to embrace how God has made me and to find my unique place in God's church. I feel so privileged and blessed. I know I'm privileged and blessed. And I know what you'd say to that. Of those to whom much is given, much is required. Well, one thing I hope is required of me is to keep working with you for many years to come. So from my husband Dave, Malcolm, and myself, we love you both very much and are so glad to have you as part of our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I have a couple words to say as well. When I was 13, Pastor Dan led our church to Admiral School, as we've talked about already. He showed his courage to boldly go into those uncharted waters. It was a very exciting time for me as well as our whole church. For me, I was able to be a part of so much that was going on. I was able to be a part of all the setup, the things that we were doing to get things ready. And I was really excited about becoming a group of believers looking and going out of our comfort zone to reach people with the life-saving message of Jesus. The fact that we chose to do that impacted my life, the way I've lived my life up to this point. I remember when we were getting our road cases ready, how much the glue smell was in the shop. we were not seeing straight. It was crazy when we were setting up our first road cases. That was I don't know if it's a memory or what that's called, but it was something trying to get all this. Yeah. So I guess you could say I did my first drugs with Pastor Dan. No. Where was I here? I'm all over the place. Okay. I remember how exciting it was when the money came through to go portable. And for those of you might know the story. I'm not going to go into it. But to get our trailer and equipment, it just seemed like God was saying, go for it. And then Dan led us boldly. Dan and Lori have had a significant impact in my life. I think part of the reason why is that they've trusted me. They've allowed me to be so involved in church. Even the fact that I was kind of given the responsibility to pick out the first set of electric drums when I was 13 or 14, I felt so much ownership, and I felt to be like I was such a part of the church, so valuable. Thank you, Dan and Lori. Now I get to call you Mom and Dad, for leading us into the portable world and for allowing my age group and those that have followed to know that we aren't just the church of the future, but we are also the church of today. Looking back, I'm amazed that you stuck it out with us as a portable church. You didn't just get us excited, wind us up, and let us go, but you have stuck it out and have been the hardest working and most dedicated member of the setup team week in and week out. Thank you, Dan and Lori. So thank you for your faithfulness and dedication, and congratulations on being here 20 years.
Well, my family is fairly new to Journey, and I wanted to also say congratulations on 20 years of ministry. We've only been here the last maybe 4 or 5 years, but I'm very thankful for Pastor Dan and Lori and their friendship to our family, the investment that he has also made in my life as well. And one of the things that really brought me to Journey and what really makes Journey unique is their passion for our community. And if you know Pastor Dan, that's his heart. And he loves reaching the lost with the good news of Jesus Christ. And I can't tell you how thankful I am as a dad, as a husband, as a brother and sister in Christ, to be a part of a church family that has that passion. We live in a world where there's so many crazy things that happen on, it seems like such a regular occurrence. And to be a part of a church family that wants to reach out into the world and to demonstrate, not just talk about, but to demonstrate the love of Jesus in so many practical ways has been a tremendous blessing. And I know if I could give the microphone to many of you, you would attest to that same thing this morning. So from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you for your friendship. I thank you for the influence that you've had in my life as well. We'd like you to come forward, if you would, both of you. We'd like to pray for you and just have a conclusion of our time.
And as you're coming, aside from the chocolate that we want to give you, we do have a gift from the church as well, from the people who love you, who appreciate you, who are so thankful for the time that you've spent here. So we're going to give you this as well. There's a gift certificate for the symphony that's in there. There's a gift card to be able to go out for dinner, and then the rest is in the envelope for you guys to be able to use as you see fit. We do want to thank you for 20 years of faithful service of giving over and over again, of friendship, and of caring for this community. We want to pray for you guys now. Father, I just want to lift up Dan and Lori to you right now. And God, I thank you so much for bringing them to Journey. I thank you for the heartbeat and the passion that you have given them for not just this church, but for this entire community. God, I just pray that you would continue to have that burn deep down inside of them. Lord, that they would continue to be able to share your love faithfully with this community and be able to see lives changed and transformed. God, I thank you for the passion that you've given them for youth and for children, and the desire to see them grow up to be mature men and women of God, and the way that that has happened throughout the last 20 years here at Journey and continues to take place. God, I pray that you would just be with them in the months and years ahead. Lord, that this would be a time that they would continue to flourish in ministry here, as well as in developing relationships with each other and around the world. God, I pray that you would be with their visa process that's in place right now. And God, that you would speed that along so that they're able to be here for many more years to come. God, we thank you for this couple who has served you faithfully, and we look forward to what you have in store for the future. In Jesus' name, amen.